Welcome to podcast number 5, where we are interviewing the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, all around the world. Today we are having the pleasure of interviewing Thom Ahola, a realtor in Gardena, California, the South Bay area, where he is killing it, doing things differently than everyone else, and he's just a hard worker, and I'm excited to interview him today. He's going to share his story about his first year in the business and just tell us where he came from, what he did to do what he does now, and it's just going to be an amazing story, and I'm excited to have you here, Thom, so thank you for being here.
My goodness, I am so flattered. I feel very humble right now after that introduction.
You should. That was quite an introduction.
that was impressive. I should bring you around everywhere with me.
I should. The intro man, the hype man. Okay. Thom, I want to first start off by asking you what got you into the business. What was your background? What did you do before this?
A lot of things. I did a lot of things. I did a lot of manual labor, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I worked on cars. I built homes. I worked in lumberyard. I did a lot of physical things that got me to a point where I was like, yeah, I'd rather use my mind, not my body, so much anymore. So it started along the lines of, well, I don't want to walk through the whole process. I mean, like I said, a lot of manual labor, a lot of things here and there
that had nothing to do with real estate.
Nothing to do with building houses, I guess, kind of has something to do with real estate. A lot of practical hands-on knowledge, which actually has panned out in my real estate career, believe it or not.
That knowledge,
exactly, for appraisals and walkthroughs, and I'm actually going back to help my clients. They just bought a home, and the first thing I told them is that they bought a home that needs a lot of renovations, and they were going to put toilets in. I made the mistake saying, I know how to do that. And so I have an appointment with them to go help them put their toilets in.
You're going to help them.
I'm going to help my clients put their new toilets in their house. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Thom is taking it to another level, doing things that
next level realty right there.
Doing things most agents won't do. I know I've been on some roofs before. And it's just what you have to do to be the best.
It's kind of funny. people think we're just salespeople all day long, but it's so much more than that. And that's what I like about it. That's what I like. I was always a jack of all trades, I guess you could say. I could fix anything on a house, anything on a car. Always been a very mechanically inclined person, and now that I do, think more of on a sales, real estate, and investment level, it still is the same exact applications of that's the value of the home. You're in there, you're checking it out. I was able to as well, again, another practical application of knowledge. Somebody came in, they wrote an offer on our property, and they sent a request for repairs for a large amount of money. Common. And she says, oh yeah, we want to update the panel, we want to update the heater, and we want you to change the ducts. So I said, okay, so you're putting air conditioning into the house. We're not paying for upgrades. And so I was able to, combat their request for my clients for, I think it was like $16,000.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. So I was like, we're not paying for any upgrades, because I knew they were trying to put air conditioning, and they were saying, oh, the panel's bad, this is bad, that's bad. I'm like, it all works.
So your background just gave you that extra little knowledge, a little power, a little confidence that you needed.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. It gave me the confidence, because he tried to negotiate it 3-4 times, and I'm like, no,
not gonna happen.
Happening.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So with all that background, something, I know you said you wanted to use your mind now, but what made you want to use your mind for real estate?
Well, what made me want to use my mind for real estate, in all honesty, I didn't know that I was going to be so into real estate when I first started taking my classes.
Yeah.
Now I do have my associates in real estate, and that's where I started. I started taking college classes, and it actually came from, I was working a job in tech where you had to think a lot and do a lot of creative people, a lot of juices flowing. I mean, West Side, Santa Monica, a lot of interesting things going on, and they had a reorg or a layoff in tech terms. And I went back to school, took a couple real estate courses. I was like, man, this is interesting. I've always flipped cars, but I'm like, the houses are kind of like the next financial step up, I guess you could say. So I was like, why not? Check it out, see what happens. And I was so into it. I took an advanced finance course, and I loved it. Weirdest thing ever. Nobody, in my position ever would say, man, finance, so cool, wonderful.
Oh,
love it.
You liked it.
Yeah, I did. That's awesome. Believe it or not. And it's not just that, but also the service. You know what I mean? I've always been a person who enjoys helping other people.
Yep.
If I was helping myself with something, I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't, jump too far for myself. But you tell me somebody that needs help, and I will go way beyond, above and beyond whatever means necessary to make it happen.
And I believe that's what makes people successful in this business. When you're doing it for someone else and versus yourself, you don't have that commission breath. You're after their best interest.
Exactly. No. And And that's really why I knew it would be a great fit for me, because the main thing was you kind of have to be a community person. You have to know your neighborhood. You have to, you know practically how a house works.
Yep.
It's not so many, like I said, so many realtors get in the business and they're just sales.
Yeah.
But if I've told my clients before, I said, don't buy this house. You may like it. It may be in a great neighborhood. It may be what you want, but at the same time, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. I'm telling you, there's going to be issues here. You're not as close to a school as you want to be. And these are the things that, like, if I was just trying to make the sale, I'd say, yeah, this house is $100,000 more than the one they actually bought. I would have made, whatever, X amount of whatever more. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I want you to be where I feel like you're going to optimally be able to live your life best. And that's what I like about it so much. Growing up, my mom was a 5th grade teacher, so she was always a big part of kids and community and everything like that. And that kind of imparted onto me, and she's a wonderful person. I love my mother. I'm just going to put it out there right now for the whole world to hear. Love you, Susie.
He loves his mother. You heard it here. Podcast number 5.
But no, and that was, a big part of it too, is like being the community person, and everybody on my block always knew me, because I was, even at 14, I was off, fixing my neighbors' chairs and helping them, solder their pipes and all kinds of stuff like that, because I was always a pretty mechanically inclined person. I knew how to...
all that being involved so heavily in the neighborhood get you to your first sale? Is that where that came from, or how did you
believe it or not? Kind of. It's kind of. So there was a neighbor on my street. It's funny how, like, I grew up in Torrance, California. And it's kind of like the big little city, you know what I mean? It's a big city, but everybody kind of knows each other.
Yep.
And in one way or another. And my first client was actually, his daughter had played softball with the girl who I had grown up with. She had went to my mom's daycare. When I was in daycare, she was in daycare with me. So it's like, oh, you grew up on Cerise. I've been to Cerise a lot. I know the this family. And I'm like, no way, I grew up with them. So yeah, I kind of did pan out, believe it or not. But no, my first listing was actually from the finance end of it that we were talking about before, that I enjoyed doing the financing. And it was kind of a deal where we had worked through negotiating the sale of the property. It was a property that was actually going through foreclosure, and I know first listing foreclosure, a little more complicated than most, but I also like challenges. I also like anything that's interesting and challenging. Like, I'm still in just past my first year of real estate, and I'm already processing a short sale. So it's awesome. Interesting. It's very complicated and really confusing, but at the same time, it's keeping me in it, keeping me interested. Yeah, I still have not had one standard listing yet. Really? I've had a couple listings so far, no standard ones. So I'm still waiting for the day somebody just walks in, hey, my house is clean and ready to sell. Do you want to sell it? All right, cool. 2 weeks, done.
The easy ones, yeah.
But I like the challenge. And, but my first listing, let's go back to that. My first listing, the gentleman was having, things, it's something that happens in real estate. A lot of people don't realize. Some people come into hard times and things happen. Yeah. So he was in the process of having a hard time, I guess you could say. And I was able to call up the lenders and negotiate with the lenders and work through everything. And we also had used there's a program that, somebody that we know works with. Yeah. And we were able to come through and really just, the white glove program, the cosmetic repair program, and came through and, new floors, new paint, staging, and everything. The place looked like $1 million. We almost got $1 million for it. 925 is what we closed for, but awesome. It's just it's that knowledge and helping people with real estate needs that really keeps me going. And like I said, I wouldn't mind a standard listing all day long.
It's the interesting one that keeps you on your toes.
Exactly.
Got it.
And it feels that much better when and that's another reason, actually, believe it or not, why I got into real estate was because I wanted to know how to buy a house. Mm-hmm. Our generation, did anybody ever teach you how to buy a house?
No.
Exactly. So, those things, you balance a checkbook, fix your own car, make something out of wood. They don't teach us those things anymore. So it's like, man, how am I going to buy a house? I have always wanted to be a homeowner. I've been practicing my whole life to be a homeowner. I can fix anything in a house, but I want to own a house. So I started taking classes to do it. And like I said, I fell into it and I liked it. And that's the practical knowledge that carried through even on that listing currently, or my first listing. I was able to almost, project manage the whole situation. I got the flooring guy in there for bottom dollar, good negotiating. Paint done, everything, cleaned and ready to go, and enough sales knowledge to be able to just design and line everything up for the least amount of money in the shortest amount of time, and was able to sell for the highest amount possible.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always been I like to do one thing at a time, but I like to do that one thing very well.
Yep.
And like I process oriented, you know what I mean? When you see there's a process and there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And there's also ways in the middle that aren't as great, but there's always the one solid solution that's going to get you, in real estate would be the highest price.
Yep.
Highest price in the shortest amount of time.
Yep.
And I always like when I hit that mark, because you know it.
Yeah.
You know it. I've seen your listings, the way you market and the way you stage and do everything. There's a right way and a wrong way. When you do it the right way, it sells so fast, and people are just clamoring over the property.
And I've done it the wrong way many times, and I've learned from my mistakes. And doing it the best way, the biggest way, it's just so much different. Things come.
The people are banging down the door, banging down the door, because they know it too. You've got the best looking house in that neighborhood.
Yep, it makes you look so good. It makes your sellers more money. It just sells faster.
My goodness, overall, everybody's happy, and even the buyers are happy. They don't mind, spending more money because they're getting the most beautiful, nicest house in the neighborhood.
Do you remember how long it took you to get that first deal?
How long did it take
after you got your license
to get the listing?
Yep,
2 months.
2 months.
2 months.
That's impressive.
So it took me 2 months. It was definitely a lot of, but see, in those 2 months, I'd been taking extensive real estate courses.
Yep.
And this is something else I want to tell a lot of newer agents who are like, wow, you're on your first year. You made top 5 your first quarter, or your first quarter of this year. And I'm like, yeah, but I a lot of classes. Yeah. A lot of classes, a lot of education, a lot of podcasts and everything like that. I'm not deterring people away from doing that. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people, they give me compliments and they say, wow, you're doing so great. You're doing so awesome. Look at that. Look at what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, it's been a lot of hard work though. You know what I mean?
A lot of behind the scenes.
A lot of behind the scenes. I know. We've had a lot of conversations about, real estate and everything like that. And I've even come to you before. I was like, man, you're young, you're doing it. And that, you have to also, pay attention to what people are saying. A lot of realtors, they get into business and say, oh, I'm the best person out there. It's like, no, you gotta listen. You gotta see what other people are doing. You gotta, take a little bit of information here, a little bit of information here, make the best.
Make it to yourself. Yep.
Exactly.
I get it completely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with that said, there has to be something that I know when you first started off, not saying right now, but what was your daily routine like back then when you first got into the business, going to schooling, going to pass out flyers, doing what you were doing to get business?
Well, doing what I was doing to get business, I was a lot of door knocking. I had a brand new pair of shoes for Christmas. I remember that. And by January, February, March, April, I wore through the soles.
Really?
I wore through the soles of those shoes. I did. And there was a brand new pair of, nice Cole Haan dress shoes, leather sole like that. And I wore through them. Because I was out door knocking and I was out marketing and I was out getting so much stuff done.
Was it those shoes that you were wearing when you got your first listing?
Yes, those shoes, those exact shoes. I had proceeded to wear them out during the listing, actually marketing the property and doing everything.
These are the shoes that started it all.
The shoes that started it all. I still have them. I need to get them resold, actually. Put another listing on them.
Yep, exactly. So what is your number one thing that you would say that you do or did for marketing? Because you said you were door knocking, but were you passing out a flyer or just talking?
Conversations. We live in we work in a people business. It's face to face, belly to belly. Get out there and talk to people. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, there's I'm gonna go back to it again. So many realtors out there are salespeople, and they've given us such a bad name that if you're just coming up and dropping off a flyer, what are they gonna do? Shred it.
Yep.
Get out of here, burn it, whatever they're gonna get.
I need some sort of value.
I need more. It's like you and Domino's Pizza are both dropping your flyers at their door. Like, who is this? What's going on?
Yep.
But you got to have a conversation with somebody. You have to instill that confidence in them.
Absolutely.
And that's probably the one thing. Yeah.
Yep. So knowing your craft, all that studying, everything you've been doing, just knowing what you're talking about.
Education.
When you're out there. Yes, I understand completely.
So many people ask me why I'm so confident in doing what I'm doing so early on in what I'm doing. I'm like, you know what? Because
you know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't want to sound arrogant or cocky or anything like that.
That's allowed here on the Property Cousins HQ podcast.
No, but seriously, I mean, you take the time to educate yourself on the subject matter, and you have the confidence because of that,
Yep.
And I'm working on a listing right now that actually came on a referral from somebody in the office because even though they'd been a realtor longer than I had, they said, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Can you please take this over? And I'm like,
when your own competition comes to ask for your help.
Exactly. And I'm sitting there like, wow, like this is my first, referral from another agent who was like, man, this is over my head. You take it.
Yeah.
And I've been handling
that's a good feeling, though, right?
It's a great feeling. I've been helping them out so much, and it makes me feel so good. It's another situation. It's actually a short sale. We're processing a short sale. Unheard of in today's
those are rare, yeah, these
very
days,
rare, and let alone that they're very complicated. But at the same time, I saw that as not only a learning experience, but at this point, it's also, like I said, listening to other people and mentorship and having people in your court who know what they're talking about, because I'm so comfortable with getting it over my head.
Yeah.
But I have those people who have the life preservers who toss them in like, hold on, Tom, you got a little deep there. Come on, reel it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And they help me out with information and how to handle the situation properly.
Absolutely.
So like, even though I'm like a year in, I'm processing my first short sale and get everything situated with that. I'm already helping them look for properties and getting them into a rental, and we're in the middle of that process right now, and I feel like everything is going swimmingly. High stress situation. You can see my hairline going back as we speak, but that's the kind of stuff that I like. It's weird. It's
you like the difficult stuff that no one else, which is good. That's where more money is at, because if you're willing to do it, that's great, because a lot of agents would not be.
Yeah, and I like the challenge. I like the thrill of the hunt. I don't know, how would you put that?
No, that's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've always been the kind of person who likes to go a little bit above and beyond. Not too much. I'm not jumping out of planes every day and stuff like that, but I like to challenge myself, and to challenge myself in ways that will help people.
Absolutely.
So and there's nothing better than setting somebody's financial house, like just set them right again. Because they've been they're working through their situation. They've been under the 8 ball or behind the 8 ball for almost 2 years now.
And I'm sure all this helping out, it's touching them in a way that you're helping them even get their new rental. That's normally not what realtors do, but you're going a little bit above and beyond.
Yeah.
So when that time comes that they're ready to buy again, I'm sure.
And we've already had that conversation. Yeah. You know what? I'm a realtor. You know that I'm gonna be a realtor for life.
Yeah.
And in that situation, that makes me feel good too. Even my clients who I've helped in the past, I remember listing one of my clients' properties, and I'd come over for a while, and I remember setting up appointments Friday afternoon or something like that, because he'd get off of work and we'd go have an appointment, and we'd crack a soda and and have a soda together, a beer for you non-drinkers. We'd get out and have just a Miller Lite, and just hang out and talk life and in the neighborhood,
building that relationship even more.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, that's why it's like I feel like real estate was a match for me, because those are the things that I enjoy doing so much. And the fact that I'm getting business because of it is just like a side note. Yeah. I like being in my neighborhood, interacting with the people, and
you're passionate about it.
Exactly. Well, I'm passionate about having a good neighborhood and good people surrounding me, and making sure that everybody's happy, and whatever they need gets, if I can help them, they're in contact with somebody who I know who can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I don't know why I called you Paul. I was thinking of our last guest. Thank you so much, Tom. I have one last question for you before we open it up to the audience, and it's really just about you and your mind, and what do you think it is about your mind, your mindset? What is it about you that makes you want to be better, makes you want to succeed and do more for your clients than the average agent does?
I would say entrepreneurship. Most of the jobs that I've worked at have all been small businesses.
Yeah.
And I've seen either struggle or success of these people either make it or break it. And that's always been a drive for me. I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. Real estate's kind of like the easy path, because you don't have, there's less startup costs and like coming up with a business idea and getting investors and having a brick and mortar and doing all that kind of stuff. But it's the entrepreneurship. It excites me every day knowing that there's a bigger and better opportunity that's out there that I can, face head on and conquer. And, like I said before, the money comes afterwards. But to just see those big challenges and just knock them out and knock them out and knock them out. And that's, of course, my end goal too, is going to be, I'd love to have my own office, if not my own, a couple offices, but that's what kind of drives me, is the entrepreneurship, because there's so much opportunity, not just for personal gain, but to really influence your community and to change so much. realize exactly, you know, every day when you're driving down the road, what are you driving past? Houses, neighborhoods, places where people live. Everybody has to live somewhere.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's not just that, it's parks, communities, it's neighborhoods. It's all these things that, you know, you really do have an influence over if you do your job and you do it well.
Do it well.
And that's what really excites me. Like we were talking about, remember we were talking about before having the, oh, this goes back. I don't know if you remember this conversation. We were talking about like local parks and having like a movie night or something. Yeah, we were talking about that. It's still a really good idea. It's a great idea. I would love to do something like that, you know, not just as a marketing thing, but like just to actually influence the community that way. Could you imagine having a listing in that neighborhood and be like, by the way, you know, in the summertime, every other week on Saturdays, I inflate a big screen and you and your family can come out and watch a movie. And it's not just like, you know, again, not just like marketing, but like imagine having an open house in that neighborhood and be like, by the way, here's a flyer on the movies. You sure you want to move in here? Because this is the best neighborhood you can move into.
Absolutely. And even you said it's not all about marketing, but it can be.
It can
be. Even on that big screen when you have that huge audience.
Just dusty.
Just a big commercial. That's something I would do. Dusty. I would put my name as big as I can everywhere. Make sure everyone had my water or something.
Brought to you by like Dusty Vision.
Dusty Works.
Dusty Works.
Yep, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So,
I do.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. We're about to open it up to the audience. We have a couple questions here. So these are going to be some very interesting questions. So thank you so much, Tom. You've been amazing. So here's the first question.
Hi, my name is Adeze. Thank you for being here. My question is, well, you kind of did touch on this earlier, but just to go kind of further like into the question, what's something that you do today that you wish you would have started doing earlier? I know you mentioned door knocking and marketing is really important, but is there anything else about your business that you do today that you wish you would have started implementing at a sooner time?
Believe it or not, it has not much to do with real estate, but fitness. You know, I work out more than I have before. I have more energy, more stamina. I go running more than often. I go, you know, I walk. We have time every night that we go walking around the track and we stop and talk and talk about our day and kind of just, you know, and then I'll go to the gym and get a good workout in. But once there's a lot of things that keeping yourself physically fit does for your business, believe it or not. It's a very odd thing to say because it's not very real estate oriented. I wish I had
I think it's true.
A solid like real estate solution. Like here's what you do to make more money. But you know, if you're taking care of yourself and your personal health, you just feel so much better.
Having that consistency and doing that. And also, did you normally do it in the beginning of the day or the end of the day, or what do you think?
I'm always end of the day. You're not going to get me out of bed and go running. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's not happening. It's cold.
I know what you're talking about.
It's not happening. But usually at the end of the day, you know, and then you do that. You get home and you know, the health food, a lot of salads, turkey, you know, the good stuff.
The healthy stuff.
But you know, and then just do that and the you know, hot shower, hot bath, and just check out, man. And I'm in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you're done.
You've never been the cold shower guy?
No, never. I'm sorry. I didn't even do cold mornings. You're going to get me a cold shower? Like, this is not happening.
I know about all the benefits of it, but there's no way I'm going to do a cold shower, especially in the morning.
No.
Okay. So that was a really good question. That was actually one of the questions I was thinking of. For some reason, I forgot to ask, too. Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we have another question coming along, too.
Hi, I'm Amanda. So I know you mentioned you would door knock and your way of connecting with people was conversation.
Yeah.
My question is, what do you do that's above and beyond that most people don't do as agents?
Kind of keying into the personal aspect of conversation. I've been door knocking with a lot of other agents, and something that I guess is kind of a I don't know how to put it again. I noticed that like when I have a conversation with somebody, I really key into what their body language and their communication and everything they're trying to get across. Like if I go up and I door knock and I see somebody's like, you know, sheltered and they're not gonna have a conversation with me, say, you know, dude, I'm gonna give you a flyer, call it a day, good luck, you know, thank you for your time. But if somebody opens the door and they're willing to stop and have a conversation, I have a conversation. Of course, there's real estate intent in the back end of it, but sometimes it's just giving that little extra personal touch.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I see your dog's yapping in the back. What's his name? What's going on?
Showing some personal touch. You care.
Exactly. Because you actually, I do care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not.
When you show and you actually do care, it just comes off.
Exactly. Like there's so many clients that I have that I know aren't going to sell in the next 5 years. But you know what? I show up and I help out. I've got one client of mine that was in the farm of where I sold my first listing, and it's a great house, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, very modest, very worn down, definitely a property that an investor would love to get their hands on. It's in a you know, part of Torrance where there's like a peekaboo view where you can literally see it's the middle of Torrance, believe it or not, by the best school district, peekaboo view of Palos Verdes and the ocean. You can see the ocean from there. But I know he's not going to sell his house because it's where he says, hey, I'm going to stay here until I go bye-bye. Like, that's exactly what he says. I'm going to stay here until I go bye-bye.
That's a
like,
common
all right,
one. Yep.
Exactly. But at the same time, you know, I saw his house needed some work, some keep up, and they actually have programs in Torrance for you know, retired people or people with not too many means. They'll come out and they'll fix your house up. They'll you know, sand it, paint it, clean it up, and keep the neighborhood looking nice. And I actually set him up with a contractor too, and I helped him with advice how to get, you know, financing, how to get, you know, pull some money out of the house to fix it up, clean it up a little bit to where his mortgage wouldn't be ridiculous either. You know, you never want to put anybody under the under the 8 ball or you know, behind in their finances. But I was able to swing by last week, and believe it or not, he was in the middle of getting his house painted. He's putting a new sod. He's cleaning his whole place. I was proud. I was like, man, look at that. You go, Gene. You know, like I know he's not going to sell. I'm not profiting anything off of it, but it makes me good to know that he's going to live a better life because he's able to clean his house up and change his windows and do everything he's wanted to do for years. And a lot of people, they just, they don't realize, I guess that's another thing about my personality is I see things as very easy. Even though when I have a very productive day, at the end of the day, I'm like, man, I feel like I could do so much more. I feel like I could do more. I can do more. I can do more. And that's kind of my philosophy about a lot of things.
What do you think that is about you that makes you think that way?
Stress.
That
causes stress. No. I don't know. I mean, that's another thing with growing up working for entrepreneurs all the time. You see these people do amazing things every day, and you're like, man, that's great, but you know, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better.
It's about actually doing better. That's what it actually counts.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I don't know. I keep calling you Paul. I think it's because I'm trying to say podcast, and I don't know. Paul was on my mind last time.
Yeah, Paul Conti.
Yep.
Shout out to Paul Conti.
Paul Conti,
a great guy.
If you're listening to this, I know you're an iHeartRadio listener, and we're getting on there. We're getting on there very soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here with Tommy, Thomas, not Tim. Do not call him Tim. It's Thom.
Thom. Yeah.
I call him Thom.
Yeah.
Sometimes Paul, apparently.
Sometimes Paul. I am Paul.
I don't know why, but all right. So don't be bad at names either, because that's really bad in this business.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things. One of the books that I had started with is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's like you have to remember somebody's name. Which a good way to remember somebody's name is you think of 2 people you know with the same name. Yeah. And then you just put their faces together. Easy way.
And I know many Toms.
There you go.
Thomas the Train,
so think of
Tom is my cousin.
See, Thomas the Train and Thomas your cousin. Every time you see me, what are you gonna think of?
Paul.
Toot toot.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, thank you so much, Thom. You've been an amazing guest, and it's been quite an honor. If there was one thing that you could leave the guests with, just one thing that you could leave the listeners, one tip that you would change their lives, maybe, what would that be?
You have to realize that it's often yourself that's holding you back. It's often your thoughts and your beliefs that's holding you back. And this is one of my mentors. He was, one of my great professors. He said, "I believe in you more than you could ever believe in yourself." And you have to know that, because then you have to believe in yourself as much as I do. Yeah.
So that's been an amazing podcast number 5. So make sure to subscribe, like this, share this, give us a rating. Just do what you got to do. Find us. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And I'll make sure to tag Thom as well, so you guys can follow him. He's been an amazing guest. He's doing big things, and I look forward to seeing where you are 5 years from now. Thank you so much, Paul. Paul again.
I was gonna throw a Paul joke in there, but you beat me to it.
That was done on purpose, listeners. I'm just kidding. Thom Ahola here for sure. Hathaway. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yay, that was fun.
Paul out.